Hi there, I'm Mila Sipka, and this is the Apatros Review. Now in this episode we take a look at the 2019 remake of Child's Play, which was directed by Lars Klevberg and written by Tyler Burton Smith. And this film was a US-Canadian co-production. It had its world premiere in France on the 18th of June 2019. Then a day later, it was released in general release in France and Italy. Then on the 20th of June in Australia, New Zealand, Russia, and on the 21st of June in UK and USA. Now it stars Mark Hamill, Gabriel Bateman, Aubrey Plaza, and Brian Tyree Henry. Now, the Child's Play films are one of the persistent horror franchises of the past 30 or so years. Although, unlike most people, I don't consider this to be a 1980s franchise, since only the original film was made during that decade. The first sequel didn't come out until 1990. In fact, given that 3 of the sequels were made in the 90s, this would technically be a 1990s horror franchise. Some critics tend to dismiss the original film due to the crazy logic goofs of how the original Chucky doll was created, but most people tend to find Chucky's murderous adventures as amusing and even a little scary. Child's Play 2 tends to be regarded as the franchise's best entry. I actually agree with that. The fact that this franchise didn't see a remake until 2019 is kind of hard to understand for many horror fans, as the prime period for horror remakes was way back in the mid-2000s. But I guess since the Orion Pictures company was long absent from the business, this late bloomer of a remake wasn't possible until the rights issue was settled. That being said, the fact that the film was made in 2019 actually tended to work in the remake's favor, as the technology was advanced enough to allow this remake's storyline to be more effective and less scary. In this update, technology company Castline has created a children's toy called the Buddy Doll, an artificially intelligent toy that has the ability to control any other Casline product, even the company's range of self-driven Casline car automatic vehicles. A programmer at the Casline factory in Vietnam is promptly fired by his boss when he's caught taking an unauthorized break. And in response, the Buddy doll he's working on, he modifies the core program on it by removing every single one of the doll's security protocols, packs up the doll into its box, and jumps to his death onto his boss's car. The doll is shipped to the United States, where after being rejected by a dissatisfied customer, the doll is about to be sent back to be bidden as a defective product, where enough for an employee at the supermarket was sold out to casually blackmail her boss into letting her have the toy as a surprise birthday gift for her hearing-impaired son Andy. Andy initially hates the toy, which names itself Chucky, but within a day or so the boy becomes a good friend for the doll. But since Chucky's AI has been freed from any of its violence inhibitors, Chuck becomes violently possessive Andy, killing anybody he regards as trying to stop Andy from being his friend. Many critics hated this remake when it came out. I was myself not too enthused about watching it, since the Child's Play franchise wasn't particularly high on my list of horror franchises to watch, despite the usually solid quality the sequels tend to have. But having seen the remake now, I can happily say this is one of the better remakes of the past 20 years, and definitely one of the best remakes of the past 10 years. The key to this is in 3 areas. First off, despite the somewhat ugly look of the new Chucky doll, the new concept of an artificially intelligent robot doll that can control other electronic devices, having been corrupted by a Vietnamese programmer, as revenge for being fired from his job, leading to a killing spree, is a solid premise, since these days almost everybody has one of those online cloud dwelling devices, which actually provides a much more potent idea of the amount of danger in store for us for having all of our devices connected to each other. Imagine what could happen if a spy working for a hostile power decides to sabotage our devices. A lot of harm can come from something as simple as a lone hacker feeding corrupted data into an automatic car, or a person's computer, or even a home control device like Siri or Alexa. Speaking of automatic cars, you will never see me using one of those. It's entirely possible that automatic cars being rolled out gradually could be given secret commands to harm their customers if they don't submit. I mean, at least if you're in an Uber or a taxi and you have a problem with the human driver, you can at least leave the car. But with an automatic car, chances are if you don't like the car's directions, you'll probably be locked into the car and driven to a place where you can't get out unless you pay out the money the car believes you owe it. A good deal scarier than the idea of a serial killer using voodoo to transfer his soul into a children's doll. Second, the acting is surprisingly spot on. The actors make a good effort at playing their characters convincingly, in particular the child actors who are the ones carrying most of the show. And it would be remiss of me to avoid talking about Mark Hamill, who voices the new Chucky. Luke Skywalker pretty much knocks it out of the park with his innocent yet intense portrayal of the deadly toy, even matching the likes of Brad Dourif, the original Chucky. Third, this film has a general feeling, once you take the current technology out of consideration, of a 1980s horror film. Even though this remake has a slightly lesser body count than the original, neither film was a massacre. The kills are brutal in a darkly humorous fashion, and the goal of horror movie morality of that decade makes a welcome return here. With the exception of the cop's mother, just about every other victim is deserving of their fate. Karen's boyfriend is revealed to have a wife and 2 kids of his own that he's cheating on by having a relationship with her. The building super turns out to have installed secret spy cameras in the bathrooms of many of his female tenants. You have to watch his basement background closely to see this. And Karen's boss is also a cheat. Karen using her knowledge of his affair with another employee as a casual blackmail against him to allow her to keep Chucky. The film doesn't go the woke route that the cult of 2017 is being forced in just about every other film and TV show to submit to, so that's a welcome sign. The original Child's Play was a solid late 1980s horror flick, and this remake, I'm pleased to say, measures up pretty well. In fact, the remake matches the original in my grading book. Just don't treat this as a traditional Chucky film so you don't get those fanboy blues. So this remake is a B, 6 out of 10, solid remake. Now for gore and nudity. There's a passable amount of gore, including a man's face cut off his head and stuck in a watermelon, and various stabbings, but there's no nudity here. So, the 2019 remake of Child's Play gets a B, 6 out of 10, it's solid. Okay, that's it for that one. Now, I do not do requests, but if you have any questions about DVDs or if you want to know if I have particular films in my collection, just hit me up in the comment section, I'll be happy to answer. Hope you guys are staying safe, take it easy, and that's it for this review.